Right then, so, well, we're in the middle of COVID, so not a lot of gaming opportunities to go, and running out of backlog of videos. Got still a couple more to upload, battle report wise, so you might start to see those filter through as when I get a chance to get those edited and nice and live for you. So today we're going to do something a little bit different as I'm on my own, and we are going to show you how to do a quick, relatively cheap Necromunda board. So what we're going to build is a shantytown. Okay, so what you're going to need for this is Zone Mortalis board. If you don't have one, you could just get a sheet of MDF, cut it up to a foot square, and you can make the tile imprints by just putting bits of cardboard on in squares, or you can put any design you want on them. So as long as it's a foot square, then it's a Zone Mortalis board effectively. There's also loads of third-party 3D printed stuff around on Thingiverse, etc. Not that I would recommend that, because obviously we sell the boards. But basically what we're going to do that. If you don't play Necromunda, then equally the same principle applies for Deadzone. If you're into Mantic and you want to do Shantytown for that, just need to scale the buildings accordingly. Alternatively, if you want some shanty buildings for your 40k table, again, just don't use the Zone Mortalis board. It's exactly the same principle, so you just ignore that bit. So, bits we'll need for today's build is bits that you can just find anywhere. So, big bag of bits off of Facebook Marketplace, 10 quid. These I think were originally Fisher Price. They're called Connex, and you can pick them up for next to nothing, boot fairs, that type of thing. These are fantastic because they are going to make the main structure of the building. Okay, so they make life so much easier. All right. If you don't have them, it's not a problem, because you can still build it out of MDF. You can just literally build accordingly, and hey presto, you have the framework of a McDonald's, which is fundamentally all they are, is a steel structure with cladding on the top, which is fundamentally what we're going to be doing. So if you don't have them, so you can easily make these. You can use sprue. All you're looking at doing is making a frame to apply then your timber to, or hardly timber, but effectively very thin or thick cardboard or thin wood, depending on what your view is. Okay, so that's going to form the main structure. Then we're going to use corrugated paper, which is the nice thin size. So we're going to use that to basically then give it that shanty look. And then we're going to Necromunda it up, or 40k it up, or whatever. As I say, all of this stuff is so cheap. These bits, Facebook, eBay, that kind of thing. Obviously, they've been out of production for a while now, so your best bet is probably Facebook Marketplace. eBay, the prices can get a little bit silly. But yeah, if you just set your search to quite wide, I picked up this bag for a tenner, of which I could probably build a city's worth. All right. Rather than using GW paint, we're going to use a lot of dry brushing technique. So dead easy, £2 from the works for all of that. Okay, obviously you can use Mournfang Brown. This is burnt umber. It's a little bit darker than Mournfang Brown, so Mournfang Brown will give you a nicer or more coppery look. Burnt umber will give you a proper dirty look. So it depends on what your view is, but again, you can play around with that, and it also depends on what you've got available to you. Okay, other bits we might use. I dismantled a Nerf gun at the weekend, so barrels, lots of bits and bobs, may use some of that. Most important thing you need is a glue gun. Okay, most of this build is going to be glue gunned. Okay, so without further ado, what we'll do, we'll build up some structures, show you what the first stage is. Okay, so see you back in a second with the initial build of what our plan is. Okay. Right then, so we've built up some structures and we've got our Zone Mortalis board. So here we go. We've got some McDonald's restaurants that haven't had anything done to them yet. So plan is going to be, we want to try and think about moving around the building on the tile. We're also going to build a second tier on this one, and then we're going to have a couple of smaller buildings. So effectively something along those sort of lines. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just cut off all these little extra knobs that we don't need. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then what I'm also going to do is, again, think about how the board's going to lay out. Now, first thing I'm going to do is actually put some rubble down. So I've got an idea as to where I want my buildings to be. Okay, so effectively what I'm going to do, I'm going to Sharpie round the footprint of the building. Then I'm going to apply some PVA or Mod Podge in this case, and then we're going to sand the board, okay, because that will take time to dry. So whilst that's drying, we can concentrate on the building, and then obviously once it is dried, then we go back over with the PVA or the Mod Podge to seal the sand. So then that will be ready for spraying. And then whilst we're building the buildings, we can think about what other bits of rubble, other bits of general cack we can find that we can put around the board to make it a bit more interesting, whether it be bridges or whatever. Came up with a good idea to use old batteries as well for sort of air conditioning units, etc. So again, we'll come up with some ideas on that. So that's going to be the next step, is basically get this board semi-prepped whilst obviously we do the buildings. Okay. Okay, so what I've done, I've marked out on my very thin ply the frames effectively of, or the walls of my buildings. So that's going to be the top. And put a little hole in there so we can create a hatch. Okay, I just need to finish off clipping off. Notice I've left a couple of these, so again, just with the clippers, just again, the advantage of them being quite old is they're quite brittle, so it's not, you do need to be a bit careful though. If you don't put your finger over them, they do fly off, and they do have some speed on them, so always pop your finger over the top so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so that's all of those bits clipped off. So we've now got a square structure. Okay, and marked it up as to which one. Again, all of this is going to get covered, so it doesn't even matter about the traffic light weirdness going on. So what we're now going to do is we're now going to cut these out. So again, you can use an X-Acto knife or alternatively heavy duty scissors. Okay, they'll just do the job just fine. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to hot glue effectively the wall sections on, and then we'll be back. All right, so we're going to literally, don't really need to show you how hot glue gun works, so we're just going to do that, and we'll be back shortly. Right, okay, so most of the walls are now on. I've left the roofs off on these two for the moment, and that's our other building. So we've got 3 buildings. And most of them are going to have fixed doors, but this one, which is going to be the top of effectively building 1, is going to have a door out onto a balcony, and it's going to have a window in here. But obviously, as you can tell, changed my mind. So basically what we're going to do is we've cut a little window out of this piece here, and we've got some modelling mesh. So this is really quite straightforward, and it's so easy to work with because you can literally just tear it. Okay, obviously you can use a pair of scissors, depending on how neat you want to be. So I'm just going to just tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so obviously Necromunda being Necromunda, you don't want anyone just walking through your window. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that over the window, and then that will create a nice little mesh. Okay, so I'm just going to put that on there with said glue gun. Okay, and then just careful because obviously the glue will come through. Okay, and now we have a mesh window. Okay, so that's going to be that one. There is a window on building 2. Okay, I'm not going to mesh that one. I'm going to show you a different technique. You can use, in the old days, or depending on where you buy your games, Games Workshop used to do things called blister packs. Well, blister packs are ideal. They come in clear plastic, which is ideal for windows. Okay, so because I've recently got into Saga, I've got quite a few of these packs now. So basically you can just cut out again a piece of clear plastic, pop it on there. I'm going to do it after I've actually sprayed these though, so because obviously I want it to be clear. I could mask it, but to be honest, it's just as easy just to leave it off and then add it at a later point. Okay, so that's basically a lot of the hot gluing done for the time being. I'm just going to put my window section back on. Okay, so let's just pop that back on. There we have it. Never throw away your piece of card either. You never know when you're going to need them. Okay, so literally I've got a box full of that. Look, perfect door there. Perfect size door. So yeah, bear with us on that one. Okay, we'll come back and show you that later. Right, okay, so next bit is to do some mesh work on the roof terrace. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. Right then, so to do the flooring for the roof section, you could use the modeller's mesh, which obviously will give same effect really as what I'm going to use here. I'm just going to show you something different. This is for crochet, so it's basically plastic sheeting, and it gives a really good effect. So what I've done, I've just drawn the outline of my roof sections and popped in there the relevant hole for the ladder to come through, and I'm just going to cut these out now. Okay, so now we've got these, here we go. And again, you can use your knife as well on these, it's just as easy because all it is quite thin plastic. Remembering always cut safely. These work great for bridge sections. Trellising, so versatile, and again so easy to really use. Okay, so just make sure that sort of fits over there, which it does, so we'll trim it in a sec. And basically what we're going to do is just use the hot glue. What you don't want with the hot glue on this is too much pooling, okay, as it will seep through a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Okay, and make sure you get your rough side up. Okay, right, so that's number one done. Then I'm just going to trim it to make sure we fit perfectly around the framework. And there we have it. Okay, so that's basically now going to sit on top there. Okay, so we're just going to do the other one, and again, I'll tell you what, you do go through some glue sticks there, so let's just pop another glue stick in. Flip it over, press down, and again okay, number two done. So nice and quick. Okay, so there we have number 1, number 2, and the idea, obviously then this one's going to sit on top and give you that kind of effect there. Okay, so that's that job there done. Okay, so next bit is to put the corrugated paper on. Okay, so we're going to do that. Again, this stuff comes in all different colours. This that I'm using is, what size is it? Let's have a look. See if we've actually got the, no, it's not actually on that sheet, but what I'll do, I'll post all of the links to the bits I've used in the description below. Okay, so effectively it comes in multi different colours, but it doesn't matter because it's all going to get sprayed. Okay, so, but it's nice and fine, because obviously I've seen some people do it and it's quite large, corrugated. The problem is it's so out of scale. So at the end of the day, this is what we're going to do. All right, so I'll show you how to do that. Right, so we've cut a section out. So what we've done, we've basically just measured one section there. We're going to flip it over. Okay, hot gluing as we go. Tend to like doing it this way, as it's more straightforward. So we just place it on, push down, and then we're going to do the top section. And then okay, so we now have a orange corrugated box. We're going to do that on the others, okay, and all except obviously this section here, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so yeah, we're probably pretty much halfway through the first phase of the build. So we've got our marked out board. I don't know if you can see, but Sharpies, roughly where the building is going to go. We've applied the first layer of sand. This is coarse sand, and then we're going to basically PVA over the top of that before spraying. Okay, so that's that bit there. We've got our buildings, which have now got the corrugated paper on. They do look a bit rough at this stage, but again, I like that. I've used a rough edge of a knife as well, so we've got a little bit of exposure here, which will paint up really nicely once it's all done. We've also glued the roof terraces on, so they're in place. So we've got, going to have one building which is going to look kind of like that. Okay. Then we've got another building which is going to have a ladder up onto a roof terrace. Okay, which we're going to make a little bit of a thing with, and then effectively we've got another building here which will have a door, but we're going to retrofit the door on afterwards. Okay, so we'll show you a different technique for that. So that's basically where we're at. Okay, so the next step basically is to think about how people are going to get up onto the roof terrace. So we've got options on ladders. So we are going to show you two different ways of doing ladders without actually buying the GW Necromunda ladders. Obviously if you've got those, great, they can be used. Again, these are of a height that that ladder will fit nicely. You can get those in 2 or 3 of these sets. I think some come in the core game as well as obviously the subsequent plastic sets. We're going to show you a cheaper way to do the ladders, so we'll do that now. Right, so to do the ladders, what we're actually going to do is we're going to use rabbit hutch wire. Okay, you can get this relatively cheaply. You might even have some in your garden. If you've got a rabbit, don't cut too much away. Give it a chance to stay safe. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick an edge, and we are just going to use the clippers to trim said edge. So like one sheet of this, even a small amount, can give you an infinite amount of ladders. Probably well, I have overcut this. I might even get both out of this one, but let's have a look. So we've trimmed that, and as you can see, we have a rope ladder. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop it in there. Okay, and oh, we will get both out of this. So again, 2 ladders, 1 little strip of rabbit hutch wire. Okay. So in essence, we're just going to pop it into position. We're going to see where it sort of sits, and then we're going to clip accordingly. And there we go. And as we know, the other one is exactly the same size, which is the advantage of using the stuff we've actually used. That will mean that that ladder there will be that length. Okay, so again, just pop it in. Does that fit nicely there? Yes, it does. Okay, and again, all we're going to do is we're going to hot glue it in place. So dab a bit of hot glue on the end of the ladder and pop your ladder in. Preferably before the hot glue dries. Okay, so we now have, see that, the hot glue in ladder there on that one. Okay, and then the next one. Always worth dry fitting to see which way sort of is going to work best for us. Okay, and that's ladder number 2. Okay, so that's the ladders in. So at this stage, really what we now need to think about is what we're going to adorn the buildings with. So we've got a lot of leftover bits of this. I haven't got actually that much with this build because of the way I sort of wrapped them. But I've got this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up sections of it, okay, in order to just... And again, fill your boots on this. You can have long strips, you can have rectangles, you can have L shapes, because what we're looking to do is basically where the weathering has taken its effect, or bullet holes, explosions, whatever, we have got repairs that have been made to the building. So this is a good way of using up all your scraps. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is we're going to take a building and we're just going to literally hot glue bits on in random places. Okay, just to give us, again, ignore the colours, all right, really do. It's great for the camera, okay, for this stage. However, they will not look like this once they've had a coat of black spray. So it really doesn't matter, and it all comes together in the end. Okay, so you're just looking at applying again, you can go around corners if you fancy, put them at angles. Okay, let's put a little bit on the corner there. Like so. Okay, so I'm going to carry on and finish those off, and I'll be back. Right, so we've got all of our bits attached, and as we said earlier, never throw bits away. These little pegs that came off the edges of the corner pieces on the constructs we have used as door handles. Okay, so we've cut out a piece of card, used our Enforcer model as our guide height wise, and then again on this one all we've done is we put a couple of little strips across, again just to give it a different feature. And also on this one we've opted just to use a little bit of cardboard there, so a slightly different design. Okay, so effectively that's our buildings sort of starting to take shape. Bear in mind, before spraying these, it's always advisable to give them a good coat of PV8. So we're going to do that, then hopefully overnight that will sort of bed in and make sure we don't get any distortion when we're putting the spray on, and make sure that everything's all nice and tidy, give it time to obviously dry out, and then obviously that'll be the next step. So one thing we do need to do though, before we actually get to the spray booth, is think about in particular what we're going to do with regards to this building, okay, as regards what we're going to have on the top, as well as this one, again, what we're going to build around there. So as a homage to the great Mr. Eaglin, otherwise known as Magrathea, we are going to go through our very own version of digging through the CAC. So basically we're going to raid the bits box and going to try and find bits that are going to basically go on. So I'm going to go and raid the box, and I'll be back and we'll show you what we've come up with as regards barricades and that kind of thing. All right. Right, okay, so I'm going to pull this video to a close. So basically we're just going to show you where we're at. This is going to be building effectively one for the purposes of this bit. So we've got the ladder coming up, got a blast shield which is from the Necromunda set, also a bit of railing. Cut up a barrel which is maybe used as a sort of rainwater drinking siphon or just a piss bowl, whichever. These little bits come in the constructs box. Got a big set again off Facebook Marketplace and had loads of these little, I presume they're sort of engines or something, but dead AAA battery. Obviously don't throw them in the recycling, don't go in there, don't throw them in refuse, use them in design. So yeah, basically just hot glued the battery in. What I tend to do with these is again get some garden wire, have it filtering out as a air conditioning unit or power cell, whatever you want it to be basically. So that's going to be that building. We then got another building which one of the local gamers has dropped in a load of resin bits. I think this one was from Adam Johnston, so thank you for him. And again, got a power source on the back. This is going to be our standalone building, building 3. And then the big building. So the plan is really with this we're going to have sort of a tarpauling section going out over the top to create a bit of a veranda. Again, we've got the Necromunda railings. Not sure which kit this is from, but there's GW wall section. A couple of sticks, you can use cocktail sticks or whatever for that. On the roof line we have some event which you can get from TT Combat, biopack events, etc., air ducts and so on. This is from Mantic. I can't remember which set it's from, but the terrain box. It's sort of like what you find on the back of chippies, so an air ventilation system. Again, we've got the power source, so again we'll feed that in. And that's pretty much where we're at. So if we have a look at the original board, and put them on where I'm thinking at the minute. Obviously everything's subject to change when you're building something. You have an idea and then you go off on tangents. So we're going to have this one probably here. The plan is then to probably have this one here, and then I think probably that one there. Okay, I've got a this is from a Playmobil police station, I think. So again, this is quite nice. Might have that going across there, barricade that up a bit. So basically you can come up round and then down into the sister-in-law's house when your brother-in-law's out, whatever. So maybe something like that. Maybe we won't do it. I'm just trying to think about what options we've got. Again, we could do something like this with a window, but don't know. So this is the thing, at the end of the day, you just keep popping some bits and bobs on there. So the next stage, which I'm not necessarily going to show you, but we'll just talk about, as I said before, we're going to PVA the board and all the buildings, make sure that they're ready for undercoating. Then we'll show you how the board all sort of comes to life, really. So that's basically the board as it is at the minute. Okay. Right then, so hopefully you're liking the look of what's coming along, or at least intrigued enough to find out what happens in part 2 and how we actually get it to the table. So if you do like this, then obviously please do subscribe. Obviously, most importantly, do put comments in the bottom in the section there, because obviously at the end of the day, hopefully this will be done in probably another session. But at the time this will go out, there may still be time for your comments to take effect. So if you've got any ideas as to what you want to see, any ideas about debris, that kind of thing, about this bridge, do I go with that? Do I do something else? Also things like till roll holders. If you know anyone who works in a store, these are great for just tubing. So these are basically the insides of till rolls. You can glue them together and get a nice little sort of thing going on there, that kind of thing. So if you do like it, do subscribe. Please do share about as well. We're close to 1,000. It'd be nice to get to 1,000 before the end of the year of subscribers. Admittedly, we're mainly a battle report YouTube channel. However, if you do like what we're doing, then I say we'll do more. It's as simple as that. Don't mind doing terrain builds. They're really quite fun, and amazing what you can actually churn out quite quickly. So in all honesty, whilst obviously this is truncated down, where we've got to has literally taken me about an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, so obviously part of the time that you lose is in drying time, etc. So there, anyway, look forward to reading your comments. Please do subscribe, and we'll go from there. So see you in part 2, hopefully.